Hello everybody, good morning. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to part one of our first session of the day of our TSL Partner Power 2021 Summit on protecting biodiversity. I'm delighted to be welcoming the Compass Education team and their amazing youth ambassadors for our first session of the day. And they are going to be helping us to understand and explore the value of biodiversity. So we're delighted to have them with us. To give you a little bit of background on Compass Education, if you're not familiar with them, they're a global movement of educators for a sustainable world, a US non-profit organisation and global network with a mission to empower educators and students who aspire to building a better world through sustainability and systems thinking. They deliver on-site and virtual professional development experiences that engage educators, students and school communities in teaching and learning, hopefully leading to empowered global citizens and a more sustainable world. And we are delighted to have them here with us today. I've done several Compass Education training courses as an educator. They really are fantastic. So we're delighted to be having them with us and supporting them in their aim to empower 1 million educators with sustainability and systems thinking tools to support the development of the 2030 United Nations SDGs. So without further ado, I'm excited to introduce you to Nicole, Gitanjali, Kate and Janetta from our Compass Education team and their amazing youth ambassadors. So over to you ladies, take it away.
Thank you so much for that warm introduction, Kirsty. We are thrilled to be here with all of you at this Trust for Sustainable Living Summit. My name is Gitanjali, and I'm very happy to welcome you to this 1-hour session on exploring the value of biodiversity using a powerful systems thinking tool called the Sustainability Compass that we hope will help all of you in this workshop and watching on the live streaming think about issues deeply, such as biodiversity, and get other people excited to support work that you want to do to create positive community change. As Kirsty mentioned, we at Compass Education are a global movement of educators and learners trying to build a more sustainable world. So I'd love to take a minute to further introduce our education team. My name is Gitanjali. I'm a high school social studies teacher and a instructional designer with Compass Education. I'm currently located in the Western United States and I use she, hers pronouns. Also leading our session today is Janetta Liu. Janetta, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi everyone and welcome to the session. My name's Janetta and I'm currently teaching in Vietnam.
Thank you. In addition, supporting us in the chat to answer your questions are a couple more educators on the call. Kate, would you like to say hello?
Hello everyone. I'll be in the background and helping out and talking with you guys through chats.
And our executive director, Nicole Swedlow. Nicole, say hi.
Hey everyone, I am super excited to be here with you. I am joining you from Mexico and it's just spectacular to see such a diverse group of people all gathering together about a topic that is so important in the world. So we're honored to be part of this conference and excited to be here as well. And I'll be in the chat with you all as well.
Thank you. In addition, we are very fortunate today to have a group of 17 amazing youth ambassadors for sustainability on the call. These are youth who have used systems thinking tools like the Sustainability Compass in their own work in their communities. Right now, I'm going to ask for our amazing youth ambassadors to use the raise your hand function to pop up on your screens and say hello. So youth ambassadors, can you raise your hands and give us a wave? Yes, you can see our amazing ambassadors. They're coming from all over the world, but based in schools in Germany, the UAE, Vietnam, and Bangkok. So we're thrilled that later today in this session, you are going to have the chance to work with them. We're going to introduce some information to you through some presentations and some polls during the first part of our session. And then these amazing youth ambassadors are going to be working with you in breakout rooms to try and practice using the compass to think about biodiversity. So thanks, youth ambassadors. Feel free to put your hands down if you haven't already. And with that, I am going to hand it over to Janetta Liu to get us started.
Hi everyone. So let's get started today. And to get us started, we'd like to ask you a question. We want you to write your response to our question in the chat and then wait before you press send. So we'll give you a minute to write down your idea and then we'll tell you when to press send. So all the answers pop up into the chat at the same time, like a waterfall of ideas or a chatterfall. So your question is, Why is biodiversity important? So we're going to take a quick second to think about that, and don't hit send yet. Awesome. On the count of 3, hit enter and your response will show up in the chat. 1, 2, and 3. Let's see. Lots of great responses popping up here. Some really cool ones. Excellent. So we're actually going to get one of our youth ambassadors to highlight some of the ideas that you've shared. So Lily is actually going to help us out here. Lily, would you like to highlight some of these ideas that have popped up in the chat?
Yeah, I think that one idea which I think has been looked at a lot here by lots of people is how it's about like the harmony and the balance in the environment, and how diversity in the environment is about things being equal and sustainable.
Thanks, Lily. That's a great observation, and I think we're still getting some of these ideas in, and that's okay. So thank you for sharing those examples in this chatterfall. It's very clear that there are lots of different ideas and opinions as to why biodiversity is valuable, and they're not all the same. Okay, so this is a really important observation for all of us who care a lot about something. Not everyone in the world will care about it for the same reasons that we do, or even care about it as much as we do. So you're all here at this summit because you care about biodiversity, but how can you convince others it is important? How can you share your passion and protect biodiversity working with people who think differently than you? So it can be tempting sometimes to ignore or try to make change without involving people with different opinions. And I'll admit that sometimes when I really care about something and I just want to work on it myself or with other people that I know care about it as much as I do. But sometimes working along with other people who see things the same way that you do can also have its limits. Okay, so maybe this experience is familiar for you, for any of us who have worked in groups before or in teams before. So we're going to take a look at this slide, and it is based on the story of the elephant and the 5 blind men. So I'll give you a few seconds to look at that. So these 5 blind men are only focused on the part of the elephant that they feel, and they ignore the rest. They are all right. But the elephant is all of those things that they feel. But because they are focused on their individual parts, they don't understand that these parts form a bigger picture. And that's why it is important to understand the big picture. You and I and other people can have some trouble seeing the whole elephant or the whole picture of a topic we care about and how it impacts others. So how do we make sure we see as many pieces of the picture as possible? And how do we make sense of these pieces? Understanding the big picture can be difficult, but one way to do that is to use systems thinking. That's why we're sharing with you the sustainability compass today. It's what we call a systems thinking tool. Systems thinking is the practice and the reminder that everything around us in the world is interconnected. Just like the story of the 5 blind men and the elephant, using systems thinking can help us see the connections between different parts or ideas. The sustainability compass is our guide to create a more sustainable world and navigate the big picture of a topic like biodiversity. It has 4 compass points that help us consider different perspectives and the parts of the world we need to think about in order to live sustainably. So there's nature, such as, and these are just some examples, ecosystems, pollution, resource use, and environment. And then there's economy, jobs, production, businesses, industries. There's society, government, social norms, art and culture, public services, and there is well-being, which is happiness, individual health, personal growth, and belonging. So these are some examples of what falls into these 4 points of the compass. When you make connections between them, it can not only help us to think about the big picture, but also to practice recognizing how the big picture is made up of connections. To try and better understand the compass and how it helps us understand perspective, we're going to do a quick little poll on Zoom. We are going to ask you a question, and please vote for the one answer that makes the most sense. So this question is going to pop up very soon. The first word is land. Which compass point do you think is the most connected to land? Interesting. Some very interesting voting happening here. Okay. All right, we'll let a few more responses come in. All right, almost there. Okay, so we have the majority of responses agreeing with the compass point of nature. That's 85% of responses. Very, very interesting. So how could land connect to all 4 compass points? We're actually going to have one of our youth ambassadors, Maxi, talk a little bit about his observations on how land can associate with these compass points. Maxi, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So the majority of people connected land to nature. And well, why do we connect land to nature? We could say that land is used for forests, land is the habitat for animals, and it's also used for parks and all of this stuff that connects to nature. But land doesn't only connect to nature. There's not one right answer. It also connects to economy because land is used for agriculture, which is used to make money. Land is used for factories, and land can provide an income. It's also connecting to society in terms of housing, cultural sites, government. So it also connects to society. And well-being, land can be a source of fresh water, land can provide safety, or natural land can provide people with happiness, and that can spread well-being.
Awesome. Thank you, Maxi. There are some really good connections in there with land and all the different points. So great work there. Let's take a look at, let's try another word. Our second word is going to be happiness. Which compass point do you most associate with the word happiness? Okay, so let's take a look at the results. We've got the majority of respondents associating happiness with well-being. So 23, which is 82% of the vote, followed by society well-being, and finally economy and nature. We have one youth ambassador who has volunteered to connect these, connect the word happiness and share her observations and how it connects with the compass points. So Sento, would you like to jump in?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Janetta. For happiness can be impacted through the quality of air that you breathe, or perhaps seeing a crystal clear ocean expand before you, which relates to nature. But it can also relate to leisure activities like going to the spa or getting a massage, of which money will be necessary but can provide happiness. And for society, you might say that happiness comes from having a safe home environment or having high quality education. And for well-being, you might say that happiness comes from having enough confidence or being able to set emotional boundaries for yourself. Yeah, so it's only a single word, but packs so much meaning and has a wide range of interpretations.
Thank you, Sento. Those are some great observations. And it's a demonstration of how one word can connect to different parts of the compass. So thank you to Maxi and Sento for taking that big risk and sharing the ideas with a wide audience. Let's take one last term. And instead of having a youth ambassador share with us, we are going to do some of our own sharing, okay? So we're going to put up a word, and if you could please write your justification in the chat. Just like before, we're going to do a chatterfall. So when you see the word, write your justification to how it connects to nature, economy, society, or well-being, but don't hit go yet. All right, so write your justification in the chat and wait. Nature, economy. So in about 10 seconds, I'm going to ask you to hit enter on your justification in the chat. Okay. On 3, 2, and 1, please enter your justification. Wow, these are some really interesting observations. So let's just take a quick look at this. Awesome. So we can see that we've got connections here, mostly to nature. We also have some to economy and some to society as well. And there is no one specific right or wrong answer here. There is not only one point which it connects to on the compass, all right? And that's one thing that we're going to look at a little bit when we start practicing using the sustainability compass. Awesome. So now that we have shared a quick overview of systems thinking and how the sustainability compass works to you, we are going to dive into some breakout room work with our youth ambassadors. This means if you're watching the live stream, this is going to be the end of the live stream. If you want to know more about the compass or our tools, you can sign up to join our later sessions. Summit participants, we're going to break you into groups to work with our youth ambassadors, maybe in a second. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Janetta. So again, if this is a
problem.
live stream and you're watching, remember you can sign up for this session. It's happening again in a little bit, and you can participate with our breakout room youth ambassadors. At the moment, summit participants, you're going to get broken into your breakout rooms. If I can just ask for your support, Ava, in opening up our breakout rooms, that would be perfect. And you're going to have about 20 minutes in your breakout room to think about biodiversity with a youth ambassador supporting you. And then we'll give you a notification when you can come back to our main room so that we can hear some of your discussions from the breakout rooms.
Breakout rooms are happening now. I think it's taking a little time.
All right, so if you have not been added to a breakout room yet, your invitations are coming very quickly. They will be there in a second, and you'll get to work with one of our youth ambassadors. So if you have not already received your invitation, please go ahead and look for one so that you can join one of our youth ambassadors.
Yeah, it's taking a little bit of a time.
No problem. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. We're waiting another 30 seconds for the rest of the breakout rooms to close so that we can come back together and hear a little bit about your conversations using the sustainability compass. Fantastic. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you again for your patience with being moved around between breakout rooms and finding a happy equilibrium where you could be in groups where you could talk about the sustainability compass and how you can use it to think about biodiversity. We are going to hear from several groups, allowing with time, about what your conversations were like. Were there interesting terms you talked about? Were there interesting points that came up? Briefly, before we start hearing from the groups, I would love to just take a quick second to share with you that looking very briefly at all of these Jamboards, you can see that they're different. Not every group had the same experience. So we're going to be hearing from different groups about what their conversations were like. So I would love to start by opening it up to anybody from any of the breakout rooms to share with us a highlight of a point that you talked about in your group. Anything that was interesting, perhaps a term that you weren't sure where it fit in the compass, whatever you would like to share. If you'd like to share, please raise your hand and we'll start with Sento.
Yeah, so in my group, we were discussing that in Nigeria, there was an extreme population growth, and that led to nature reserves being used for settlements and agriculture. And then we added those post-its, and it was really interesting to see these connections happening in real life that relate to biodiversity. So, yes.
That's great, Sento. Thank you for sharing, and I appreciate that you were talking about a specific context for your topic for biodiversity. So thank you so much for sharing. Lillian, what's something that your group talked about? Lillian, we can see your hand up, but I'm afraid we can't see you or hear you. So if you could unmute yourself.
The beauty of them is what brings the tourism, but then it's the amount of tourism which is seriously affecting the biodiversity. So therefore, it's the beauty is it's shortcoming almost, because there is hardly any uninhabited islands anymore, but how that has changed over time. And it's not the same in places which are less beautiful.
That's a really interesting point about sort of that double-edged perspective. So using the compass, you can think about the pros, the natural beauty that biodiversity presents, but a potential economic challenge and social challenge that comes with tourism. That's really interesting. Thank you so much for sharing. Kate, what about you?
We had a really interesting conversation about the connection between education and nature, and even about the differences between youth and adult education and how they take different avenues towards, I think we said appreciation of nature and then wanting to take action from there.
Interesting. And so thinking about the differences based on that generational experience, is that what your group was looking at?
I think it was more formal versus non-formal education.
Okay, thank you. That's really interesting. How about other individuals who would like to share a term or a connection that was interesting? Anisha.
So in my group, we talked about lots of different terms, and one that we kind of had we stuck up was on beauty, because we found that it's such like a main idea that it could go in all the four parts of the compass. And also another kind of thing that we discovered was that each of the points kind of had like a cause and effect. Like, for example, tourism, like the cause for it might be some natural wonders that are in a specific place, but the effect of it could be like a growth in jobs for people. So that was like a really interesting thing that we discovered that was there.
Thank you. I love that you started talking about cause and effect, thinking about how these different ideas and factors relate to each other. I think the compass is great for that. And later in the week, we'll talk about how you can protect biodiversity by thinking about some of those causes and effects of the loss of biodiversity. Daniel, I see your hand raised.
Yes, I wanted to talk about that. In our group, we discovered as well how society impacts any part in the compass. Like if you, the people you hang out with, the place you live in, or if you meet more friendly people, you might be happier. So you have better well-being. If you hang out with and meet more lawyers, or you might pursue that job, and that would be in this part in economics. You might talk to many environmentalists or ecologists, and they will probably talk to you about the environment and human impact on it, and that way you would know how to be better for the environment. And
That's excellent. I love that you summarized these different compass perspectives, and your group really tried to think through different lenses about this topic. I think we have time to hear from the last 3 hands raised before we wrap up for today. So I'm going to first ask Miyuki to share.
So we talk about the card farming, and we connected how farming contributes to biodiversity, and we also came up with the idea of how technology development has improved, how technology development help sustainable farming in the future, which I found was really interesting.
Definitely, and I think it's great you brought in a new idea of technology that wasn't on the board. It sounds like your group came up with a new idea. Great, thank you. Ray from UAE.
So what our group talked about is how all of the points of the sustainability compass can link to all of the things. So for example, health and education can link together, because if you're healthy, you can learn more, and you can also learn how you can stay healthy. And so, yes.
I think that's great. You identified what you can also continue to learn and what questions you can ask. That's definitely something we hope you'll take away about the compass. Thank you. Lastly, can we hear from you, Blake, about your group discussion?
Okay, so our group discussion at the start was basically we put everything on there, like where like they generally are, and then we start moving them around and chaining everything together. And then we added other sticky notes that we can chain together. And then when we added these two really big ideas, which is conflict and natural resources, everything just like got connected in different ways, because conflict because everyone wants stuff, and natural resources because that's basically what everyone wants.
That's so interesting that you added in that idea of conflict and natural resources, and it transformed everything and how they were connected. Thank you so much for sharing that. We hope that you see the compass as a way to come up with ideas and find connections between them to think about how they relate. Thanks so much for sharing that, Blake. And I can see in the chat that Simona is adding that using drones and spreading the seeds to the ground for sustainable farming was a part of the conversation from the last group as well. So just highlighting that there's some great notes in the chat. Thank you so much for sharing about your breakout room discussions. I'm going to ask Janetta to wrap us up today, and back to you, Janetta.
So thanks to all of the groups for sharing, and there's been a lot of really great work and conversations that have come out of the breakout rooms and Jamboard sessions, which is so interesting and refreshing to have different ideas looking at the issue of biodiversity. And we hope you can use this understanding of perspectives and the sustainability compass to think holistically, so to think big picture about why biodiversity is important, and to perhaps convince some new people as well. As young change makers, you can make more of a change the better you understand the system around you. So we're going to wrap up today with a really quick chatterfall, just like we did before. And you're going to write your thoughts back into the chat, and then you're going to wait until we say send before you hit enter. And this time the question is, how can using the sustainability compass help us better protect biodiversity? Okay, I'll repeat that. How can using the sustainability compass help us better protect biodiversity? So let's take a quick few seconds to think about that. All right, in 3, 2, 1, enter. Okay. Interesting. And one of the things that I'm sort of seeing as a pattern here in the chat responses is that there's a lot of responses that look at expanding ideas, looking at a bigger picture and the connections between those. So I hope this was something that you brought up in your breakout room conversations as well. So that will be very interesting. So thank you very much for your work here today in this workshop. If you have more questions or you want to learn more, please feel free to email us or connect on the info on the slide. If you want to learn more about systems thinking, we invite you to join us at our workshop on the systems iceberg on July 9th, so on Friday. You can sign up on the event page. So enjoy the rest of the summit, everyone. I'd like to hand it back over to Christy Shakespeare and TSL, please.
Wonderful. Thank you so much to our Compass educators and our amazing Compass Youth Ambassadors. What a fantastic job they've done for us. And I hope that they have helped to open your eyes and make you think about sustainability and biodiversity in a new way. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. There's going to be a repeat of this workshop in around about 30 minutes, but we look forward to the the Systems Iceberg workshop on the 9th of July. So thank you very much, everyone. We look forward to seeing you soon, and enjoy the rest of the summit.